Welcome to the Cancer Answers Summit. I'm Jean Swan, and we're presenting integrative, alternative, and holistic approaches to cancer. In this case, we're going to be talking about alternative and natural therapies with Bob Wright, who is the founder and director of the American Anti-Cancer Institute. And we're going to learn about the services that this group provides, wellness centers that they're planning to develop, and some points on how you can heal from cancer and stay healthy as well with Bob Wright. Bob, welcome. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Jean.
Now, your organization is really helping people understand about healing from cancer. Can you tell us when you founded it, what you actually do, and now your capacity is going to be even expanded more to have actual wellness centers?
Well, we certainly hope so. I founded the Anti-Cancer Center about 7 or 8 years ago now, with the idea that we really needed to educate people about what cancer really is. We think that we know. As a society, we think our doctors know. They really don't. If you're diagnosed with cancer today, you ask the doctor why. Why do I have it? Where did it come from? He or she will probably give you a 1 or 2 minute dissertation on genomes and genes and how they play into this, and then ultimately throw their arms up in the air and say, we really don't know. I don't want to talk to that person, and I don't want them taking care of me if they don't know where it comes from, because they won't know how to treat it. And they simply don't. They don't have the tools. So we founded this initially as an education process. I've done tons and tons of research. I came from a field of research, a field of health. I was a marathon runner. I wanted to find out how I could run further and faster and do it legally. And hence I went to supplements, I went to foods, health, studied all of these fields, all the ologies, you might say. And then my mother died of cancer, and she went within 2 weeks of diagnosis. I mean, it was really fast. My dad died after that of cancer. It took him 16 years to die. 1 kidney removed, cancer moving to the other kidney, dialysis, 24 drugs daily. He was CT'd and PET scanned to death. We know what those do to us. And so that's what really drove me to cancer and to find out what cancer was all about. And the truth is, and the fact of the matter is, that most people don't know. When they get it, they just want to find out how to get rid of it. They want the pill, actually. We're Americans. We want it our way. We want the pill. Mm-hmm. But it simply doesn't work that way. And we've been told that a cancer patient is worth about $1.2 million to allopathic medicine now before they pass. And sadly, during that period of time, there's no quality of life for most of them. We know the real statistics, and that's that 97% of all cancer patients who undergo chemotherapy are dead in 5 years. The American public doesn't know those facts. I interviewed the people that did that study, so I know that it's true. But so we're about education. We're about forwarding treatments and therapies and protocols that really work for people and have worked for not even decades, for centuries and eons. The things that really work, the things that God gave us to treat the human immune system. God gave us that immune system, so if we get a cold, we don't die. We get the flu, we don't die. People don't understand that it's also true about cancer and heart disease and diabetes and so-called autoimmune diseases, neurodegenerative diseases. We should not die of these, but we don't know what to do. So it is, in the final analysis, truly all about education. So we are educational, but soon morphing into the International Wellness and Research Center that will have actual wellness centers in 10 different places in America, offshore as well, where we can, as we discussed, do some things that maybe we couldn't do in the United States. So that's who we are and where we come from. We're international now. We built an infrastructure so that people really know us internationally. I published my book, Killing Cancer, Not People. It's now in its 3rd edition, and it's been accepted all over the world. We've never marketed it, we've never advertised it, and yet we've sold tens upon tens of thousands of these, mostly just by word of mouth. And this is what I would do if I had cancer, and I have no doubts that I would heal, even if I was in an end-stage cancer, because these things have been proven to work over time.
Now, you did mention the fact that it's often told to people by doctors even that it's caused by your genes, but we do know from the science of epigenetics, scientifically proven by Dr. Bruce Lipton, that we are not doomed by ourselves, that they can be turned on or turned off, our genetic predispositions, depending on our behaviors, including our environment, our thoughts, our choices, our lifestyle. So that's number one that I know you teach people, is that you are not getting cancer because of your genes, it's because of your choices that have activated those possible genetic tendencies.
Well, that's exactly right, and the American people don't know that either. And those genetic defects that a few of us have, maybe up to 5%, they still have to, as you said, be activated. Angelina Jolie, they told her that she had like an 80% greater possibility of getting breast cancer. That was wrong to begin with, because they based it on a bell curve and put her right at the top. And so it was false to begin with, and she believed a lie. And it cost her, sadly. So if we can say that genetics is the computer of your body, then epigenetics is the software. It's what runs it. And, you know, we go through a process throughout our lifetimes of acidifying and inflaming our bodies, and therefore making it the home for virtually every pathogen known to man. We block our methylation pathways, our enzymatic pathways. These are the epigenetics, the things that really drive the health of the human body. And yet we pollute them over time, and that's why we break down. That's why those defective genes, if in fact we have them, then are manifested at that time. But if we live a life that is largely good as far as diet and exercise and detox and those things are concerned, those defective genes, if we have them, rare instance again, will never be manifested.
Yes, so that is the good news for people, because that means they have control over it, rather than the predominant feeling of people when they are diagnosed is fear, and it's a death sentence, and I have no choice, and I've been a victim, and this is in my genes. And that's still, I even find it hard to believe that that is still what most people believe. It
absolutely is. You know, I was raised, I'm getting kind of old now, but I was raised in the 50s and the 60s, and we were always taught, you know, when you get sick, you go to the doctor, right? The doctor knows, and you do what the doctor says without question. Well, we did that. When we got the measles, though, we all got together in one house, and we got over the measles. Then we had a defense to it, the chicken pox, all of those things. It's not the panic you see today with measles. And we all got well, and we all strengthened our immune systems through that. But we believe in doctors. You know, doctors go to school for how many years? After, you know, college, internship, you know, an additional 8 years or whatever it is, they go heavily in debt. And so we think, boy, these guys are serious, and gals who become doctors. And they are smart people. They have to be smart people to earn that MD degree or ND or chiropractic. I happen to think some of chiropractors are the best doctors that are alive today, because they get it as far as the human body is concerned. But we believe in our doctors. And that belief, in my opinion, in many cases, especially when it comes to chronic disease, is misplaced. They have a toolbox, as we know, with only a few tools in it. And those tools are not adequate to bring to healing the immune system. They treat symptoms, and we know that. That's why we have drugs. We treat symptoms. They have no ability to heal the body itself. That's where patients are misinformed about doctors. They think they go to the doctor, they get the pill, they're healed, life goes on. That's not how it works. Hopefully you survive the drug. And it does ameliorate symptoms for a period of time so that your body can heal itself. If it doesn't, largely, you're in that chronic disease state and you spiral down like the diabetics. I have to tell the diabetics all the time, type 2 diabetes, adult onset. Let me tell you what's going to happen to you over time if you don't change the way you live. Diabetes, most type 2 diabetes is healable within 90 to 120 days in almost all patients. But not if you keep sticking your finger and measuring the sugar in your blood and taking the drugs and the insulin. It doesn't heal that way. What happens is you get diabetic neuropathy in your extremities. Sooner or later you have a toe amputated, then your foot, then your leg, and then you die of heart attack or stroke. Diabetics are worth a lot to the medical industry. over a long period of time, and we know that today. So doctors, bless their hearts, we need them. We need good doctors. If I get in a traffic accident, I don't want a plumber. I want the best doctor, the best anesthetician, anesthesiologist that money can buy. So we don't malign doctors. We just call a spade a spade. What can you do? And they can't heal chronic disease. It's a fact.
And I know that what your organization does and your philosophy is that we all need to come together and not be promoting one therapy as opposed to another, or pitting one against the other, because that isn't working either. I mean, when we come together, I think that's a belief of the future of medicine. Let's all work together instead of saying this one's better than that one, because we're all individuals. We all need different options and treatments. So, and I know that is something that you really try to teach people, and you work with practitioners on, is let's get together. Let's be united in this. We're all on the same team trying to heal humanity from an epidemic of cancer.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've probably heard of at least 400 things that someone has said has healed their cancer. It goes all the way from scorpion venom to about every other plant species and thing that you can think of. Now, I'm not saying they're wrong. How could I? If that's what they changed in their life and now they're well. So we know of a lot of things that work, but our stand is what works for everyone. What you use may not work for me. And so that doesn't work for us as a whole, although it might have worked for one or two or three people. So we try and forward the things that work for everyone. Mm-hmm. But to that end, we know that there are doctors and researchers and other people out there who are forwarding in this natural field of medicine. Some call it alternative. I don't know when it ever became alternative to use the things that God gave us to heal our cancer or anything else. What's alternative is to put poison and radiation in your body. But to that end, the natural health field, we really do need to come together. And we can't sit in the little corner of our room and say, it's only me, it's only my stuff that works, and that other stuff doesn't work. That's simply not true. When you're treating cancer, it's a combination of things, which we'll probably talk about in a minute, that really bring the human organism to wellness and to healing, and healing that immune system that we talked about. So I get a little miffed when I hear people saying, no, it's only mine that works. And it's not true. And it makes it easy for, we will call them the powers that be, to come in and shut us down and say you're doing the wrong thing, you're saying the wrong things, whatever. Because there's no recourse for any of us, especially if you're a smaller organization. And we've seen many of those over the past 5 and 10 years that have been shut down, who were really doing no wrong. Now, there are some hucksters out there. We know that. In every industry, it's true. And they need to be shut down, and we know that, but it needs to be proven. And so we really do need to draw together to be a force to be reckoned with, and so that we can become generally accepted, not necessarily by the people, because we already are by so much of the population today, but we need to be generally accepted by all people, whether they're in allopathic conventional medicine or natural medicine or Chinese medicine or homeopathy, whatever it might be. We need to pull together and then find out what it takes to heal the human body and share that with everyone.
Yes, and on that note, you say that there are 5 general things that you have found that are really work for the majority of people. 5 basic guidelines to healing from cancer or reversing any degenerative disease for that matter. So can you outline for us what those are?
Yes, and I must say, and you hinted at it, that what I'm going to say, these 5 different steps or ingredients as it were, will largely work for about any chronic sickness or disease. And of course there are some idiosyncrasies in there and some additives and maybe some subtractions, but largely will work for almost anything, and also they're preventative. What prevents heals, what heals prevents. And the real cure, if we can say the C word in this industry, the cure word, the real cure is prevention. But we're Americans, we don't pay much attention to that. We believe that Burger King tells us we can have it our way, and so we do that. We live the way we want for 50 or 60 years, and then we want the doctor to give us the pill. And we think that's where the answer is, and it really isn't. But if there is a pill, it's a combination of things that the body craves and needs. You need to get rid of the deficiencies. You need to detox. So the things that we recommend first are the right diet, especially if you have cancer. And even more especially if you have midterm or late stage cancer. You need largely a raw, vegan, organic diet. And it's just a fact. People say, I want to eat meat. Okay, I get it. But people don't know how to eat meat. They don't know how to buy it. They don't know where it comes from. They don't know what's in it. They don't know how to prepare it. And they don't know how to eat it. They don't know how to layer it. They don't take pancreatic enzymes. So people say, that's why I don't recommend meat. If you know these things, a little meat maybe isn't bad for you. Mm-hmm. But so the right diet is number one. And if you're not going to be on the right diet, if you're going to continue to eat sugar and Big Macs and drink milkshakes, unless you're Al Dosh, and that's another story, you simply can't get away with that. And that is the fundamental basics of good health, whether it's cancer or anything else. And I say it doesn't matter what you do on Saturday. It matters what you do the rest of the week as far as your diet is concerned, which means that what you do most of the time is really important. But when you have cancer, what you do virtually all of the time is important. So diet is number one. You need to drink the right fluids, particularly the right water, particularly ionized water. You need to detox the body, you need to take the right supplements, and you need to exercise if you can. So those are 5 steps. They're more intricate than just 5 numbers. When we talk about water, I talk about Kangen water made by the Enagic SD501s. We've never seen anything like it. And we have studied it for years and years now. I have a listing from people who have healed their own cancers using, healed their own immune systems. We have to be specific here. And their testimonials are legion now by using ionized water. And many will say, but Bob, it's only water. Well, no, it's not. Do the research, read the science. Everything that we recommend is steeped in science, and I can show you the research. Can't do that for chemo. Well, chemo is steeped in science. It came from mustard gas in World War I and World War II, and it was designed to kill people. That's the science it's steeped in. But I can give you the research and the science for ionized water. Dr. Jerry Tennant wrote a couple books on healing is voltage. That's what ionized water is. It has a negative charge on it. And you need that negative charge to heal your body. Without it, your cells do not, your body's electric. They don't have the energy to heal the body and use the other resources, whether it's the food, the hydration, supplementation, whatever, to bring that together in the cell to heal the body. So ionized water is steeped in science, and people miss it. That's why I say that our 5 steps are too easy for people, too simple. And they say, well, okay, I know I need to drink water, but where's the pill, Bob? We're so just steeped in wanting the pill that people miss the simple things. And it is the simple things that will heal cancer. The right food, the right detox, the right water, the right supplementation, and exercise. You got to exercise somehow. You don't drain your lymph. If you don't drain your lymph, you're toxic, and you'll always be toxic. And I go into that deeply in the book, all of these things in the book. We recommend PIOH, P-I-O-H, which is an acronym in Chapter 9 for Precision Intestinal Oxidative Hydrotoning, the greatest detox program in the world because it goes to the cellular level. It purges the liver deeply, the gallbladder, all of your organs while flooding the body with ozone, producing with the right perfected water polyatomic oxygen. We've never seen anything like it. It's amazing. We know people who've just used that for their cancers or for their Hep C or for their chronic Lyme disease. They've just used that. And of course, we've heard people who have just used diet. Many of them, thousands, tens of thousands. Many people have just used the Kangen water. Many people have just used a specific supplementation. We recommend only pure supplementation in largely powder form because it has to be not only synergistic but bioavailable to the body, especially if you're a cancer patient. You know, you can't be eating steaks and eating complex things that aren't going to really work or be absorbed in your body. And so it's very important. We recommend the Relive products. We have almost equally as many testimonials from that on people that only changed that in their life, and they're well today. Again, not that it cures cancer. There's no one individual thing that cures cancer. That's another thing why our industry gets in trouble. Take this, it will cure your cancer. Well, I say, no, it won't. You need a combination of things, but you need to concentrate on the immune system and bringing the body back to homeostasis, using those epigenetic pathways, and doing the things that the body craves. Detoxification, it craves. Go into a crowd of 100 people. Ask them, how many of you have detoxed in the last year? If you get one hand, it's a miracle. And they probably went to a health food store and bought a box, you know, that helps them detox. And I'm not saying that's bad for you, but it doesn't complete the job. I've had 36 PIO sessions to date, and I think I'm healthy. And you'd be surprised what happens to your liver. It purges. I've had in excess of 15 purges in one session, which means my liver is being cleansed. My body is being cleansed. I'm flooding my body with oxygen in each one of these sessions. Is that good for you? I think so.
Tell us more about that detox session. Where is it available? Where can people get it? Do you have to go to a clinic to have it done? Tell us more about that.
Well, that's the downside. It took the gentleman that developed this over 30 years to piece it all together and perfect it. He works with us. He's located in Seattle, Washington. He's just right next to the airport. People fly in from all over the country to spend a week or two with this guy because he's the consummate professional. He gets results. And it, you know, people ask me, how many of these does it take? How much does it cost? You know, they want to know all the specifics. And I can't tell you that. You need to talk to him, and he will tell you based upon your situation. But the sad part is it's only one place in the United States now. We're trying to change that. As we move forward, we're going to start training more PIO-techs, you might say, so that they can do this, so we can spread it all over the United States. So I get calls and emails almost daily now. Where can I get PIO? Close to Raleigh, North Carolina. Or I said, well, you got to fly to Seattle. It's a hardship for many, but I'll tell you, it is worth it. And people that go through it, I hear the testimonials all the time. It's just incredible. Their lives change. Of course, their lives change when they do the other things as well. But it's that combination that makes the real change to cancer or anything else in the human body. These simple things, these simple dietary things, and all the other things that we mentioned. It doesn't have to be complex. You don't have to take 150 pills a day. You don't have to do all of these other things. Now, I'm not maligning those either, because I know the late Dr. Nicholas Gonzalez used the enzymes, and some people were taking 150 of those a day. He had great results, and we miss him because he was very good. But I think that it can be more simplistic than that, but it's not free. And that's another thing that we work on. Cancer patients come to us, they've been so overtreated, all their deductibles are shot, they're bankrupt largely, and they can't afford to buy a supplement at that point. How do we help them? There's no insurance that covers these things. It doesn't cover a whole body vibration machine, which is probably the best exercise a cancer patient can ever do. They just need to stand on the machine. It drains all of their lymph. It strengthens their bones and their muscles. It gets the blood flowing, the oxygenation of the blood and all the cells. It's just fabulous. These simple things again. But they cost money, and not nearly as much as Provenge, the prostate drug. Extends your life for 3 months. Cost $100,000.
Wow.
Gee.
How do you help people? Because that is an enormous question. Because with all of these possibilities for people, that are not chemo, radiation therapy, and sometimes surgery, which is sometimes necessary. But when people do find out, well, there's another way to go, regardless, many of these people do not have the finances, whether it's covered by insurance or not, and most of these that you're talking about would not be, right?
That's correct.
So what is the solution, or what is at least some hope for these people?
Well, there's always hope, and we give them hope to begin with. We don't tell them, do chemo or die. And believe it or not, many doctors tell their patients that. And I know that because the patients looked me in the eye and said, the doctor said if I didn't do chemo and I didn't start on Monday, that I would be dead in 2 weeks or a month or whatever. And I look them in the eye and I said, no, a doctor wouldn't say that. And they say, that's exactly what he said. And so we give people the other end of that spectrum. We give them hope. You come in and tell us you're stage 2 or stage 3. We know you're already more than that. That's another mistake being made in this industry. People think they're in good shape because they're only told they're stage 2 or 3, that they're not metastatic in stage 4. Most of them already are. But it's not easy to detect the metastases. And so we give them hope and we say, you're upright and mobile. We can help. And so we go about the language that gives them real hope. We ask them, get an advocate, get someone to walk alongside you that can help you in this. We have seen so many people put together these crowdfunding things and other type of internet fundraising programs where they've raised enough that just, and it's not that much, just to provide the resources that will get them through this. We're also working on, believe it or not, and you may not have ever heard of this, insurance for natural means. No one's doing that today, I can tell you, because it's too big of a hurdle. But we're working with a group now to try and make that come to pass. Will we ever do it? I hope so. Could it be next month or next year? Maybe, maybe not. Because it's a very large hurdle to jump. But we're working on it. We're working on ways to provide scholarships to patients if they can prove that they cannot pay. You can't, unfortunately, take everybody's word for it, but if they can prove they can't pay, we are working on methods to raise those funds so people can be scholarship through this. Now, don't have everybody call me right away and say I need a scholarship, because we're not quite there yet, but we're working on it because we understand that need. We understand the hurdles involved with non-allopathic medicine. We know what we're up against, and that's the first thing that we all need to recognize. But since we have identified these things, which goes beyond what we've talked to even finding the ways to protect ourselves and our businesses, sadly from our own government, but we have identified these things, and we are giving them priority and trying to find out how we can help ourselves move forward, but help these patients get the hope they need, but also get the therapies and protocols and the information that they need.
And that is something that is not being done, and it's an enormous question, because on top of their physical, emotional, and other issues that led to cancer or other disease, they've got the financial burden, and it's just sometimes insurmountable, or just puts the whole family into a terrible situation that's more of a burden on top of the illness, which puts more stress on them. So that's incredible that you're doing something and looking into this and trying to help people, because we receive a lot of questions about this from people, and it's good to know that there's a resource for them to go to. Are you hopeful from the time you started to now that we're going in the right direction, that more people are being informed, that more, I mean, we're in a cancer epidemic, but in your view, working with the practitioners and the people directly, are we moving in the right direction? Is there hope? What do you see in a few years down the road?
Well, I think we're definitely moving in the right direction. Since I really started my research in about 1985, I have seen a tremendous surge, especially in the supplementation world. And food is so important to the body. As we discussed earlier, it is the baseline for wellness and for healing. Other things need to be added, but it is in fact the baseline. When I first started studying supplements back then, most of them were junk. Most of them would fractionate vitamins and dump them into a can or a bottle and say, this is good for you. Well, maybe it was a little bit good for you, but largely not so. It took me a while to find the first one that I could tell was really good and really helped me as a marathon runner. And so I've continued that study, and we are seeing some of the greatest advances and strides in nutrition come today, and every day it seems to be better. We know we're making a difference because the government is really getting active against those of us who do what we do. And it's kind of like that last gasp type of thing, because people are fleeing conventional medicine more so than ever before. And if we do manage at some point to get insurance in place, they will flood us because they probably would not give a plugged nickel for chemo and radiation. But you can see that it's dying. Chemo and radiation is dying because if you watch 60 Minutes and some of these other shows, they're going to something that they call immunotherapy now. I mean, gee, we've been doing immunotherapy forever because we're trying to strengthen the immune system. You know, we know about epigenetics. We know about these things. So this now is the brand new state-of-the-art discovery in conventional medicine, this immunotherapy. And it is simply not true. It's another lie because they are trying to stimulate the immune system with drugs. Could it work for some people? Sure. Chemo works for some people, but not very many. But it's not going to work long term. They're grasping at straws because drugs are not going to facilitate that fully, and they're going to damage the patient again. Everything they do because of patent needs and profits is going to somehow damage the patient because they cannot patent the natural things that we use that actually don't harm the patient and help the patient. There are 1,000 things out there I could tell you today that work way better than chemo. They're all natural, and they're almost free compared to chemo. And so chemo and radiation is dying as well it should. It should have died a long time ago. And those people will rush to us if they have an opportunity. And not just to us who we are, but to this convention of natural medicine that really, in fact, does work and has worked for centuries.
So people are just seeing that, you know, generation after generation, this is not working, you know, the treatments that have been available. So even those who, as you mentioned earlier, you know, we were all programmed in our consciousness to go to the doctor, get a pill, get fixed. He knows what he's talking about. Almost like a blind, definitely a blind trust. And now people are realizing, wait a minute, I don't think it's working. I'm seeing people die all around me, and I don't think these are the right answers. So finally they're taking it upon themselves to educate themselves, to find an organization like yours, to open their minds and say, there has to be a better way.
Absolutely. And I use this analogy a lot, that a guy walks up to me and he says, my dad died of a heart attack at 42. My grandpa died of a heart attack at 40. My great-grandfather died at 38, so I'm going to die of a heart attack probably by the time I'm 40. You know, we hear this. I've got the gene, you know, I'm going to die. But you look at him. He weighs 350 pounds. He eats potatoes and gravy and meat and gorges himself. And he's probably right. He's probably a prophet at that point. But that goes back to, you know, doing the right things that we need to do to control those epigenetics in the body, even if you are genetically, you know, predisposed to that. But people like this gentleman, we're educating them, and they're starting to see that there is hope beyond that. So I think you're spot on with that. We do have that hope that people are changing and turning, yes.
And we thank you for joining us so that many people around the world can learn about your organization, what you're doing to help people, learn about more options. The book, again, is Killing Cancer, Not People, written by Robert Wright, who is the head of the American Anti-Cancer Institute, which is expanding and growing and providing more services for you every day. And Bob, where can people find you on the internet and contact you for more of your incredible information?
Well, they can go to the website, just www.americanaci, stands for Anti-Cancer Institute, americanaci.org. My email is info@americanaci.org. That will come directly to me if you have questions. And also, you can get the book. It looks like this. You can get this book right on our website. It's a fundraiser. I wrote the book, but I gave it to the AACI so we could use it as a fundraiser. So all of the net proceeds go to our organization to help us to do the things that we do and to move forward.
Thank you so much, Bob. Thank you all for joining us. Share this information with your family and friends because so much of it is life-changing and life-saving. And as we mentioned earlier, it's preventative as well. So hopefully the majority of people watching are in a great state of health, but could even improve on that so that they never end up becoming a statistic in this cancer epidemic that we now have, but we're reversing by the power of this knowledge and information and numbers and sharing that we're all doing with this information. So thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time on the Cancer Answers Summit.